gentlemen, boys and girls, little children, dogs and cats, welcome back to another rousing rendition of what we like to call the Brethren Podcast. We missing one, but we got the others. Dr. Jamu Loving, PhD CFP, and Miss Alicia Brandon of HBCUPets.com. Make sure you get you some. How y'all doing today?
Doing great, doing great.
Going
Good to
on.
hear from all y'all. See,
We can, we
talk to
gonna
me.
we gonna expect delayed responses from Alicia because, as per you, she hustling in the background,
Homecoming prep.
which is which is it's fitting that you are doing your usual entrepreneurial endeavors in the background, because the topic that I want to hit on is the balance between hustle and health, and kind of just
Mm,
taking a look of maintaining the mental, spiritual, and physical well-being while you pursuing your goals. And Doc, you obviously being a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, make sure y'all go get that new book, Wealth on the Mat. uh but both of y'all, and Alicia, you always out and about and on the move. um I don't exercise, y'all know that. But when we talking about balancing the health and the hustle, because obviously we've talked about it before, getting into that tunnel vision, that one track
mhm.
mind where you kind of in it. And some of the other things, kind of start falling to the wayside, where it's like you so focused, and so you get drained, and then you might be like, all right, well, I'll skip the gym tonight, and then that skipping once becomes skipping twice, skipping three times, therefore you know what, you haven't gone.
Woo.
So I'll start with you, Alicia, and then Doc, on just immediately when it comes to mind of how you maintain it. How do you keep that as a priority? Because even though we make priorities, they obviously can end up taking back seats. But I'll start with you, Alicia.
This is timely, I tell you. So I will say, quite candidly, it's hard. It's really, really hard. Um, Especially right now for me, it's grind time because we got what, a week until homecoming. A week and a day until I descend on the campus of Tuskegee University. So I have been heads down, as you mentioned. Like I'm in the background working on stuff right now as we speak. So I can't tell you the last time I've been to the gym, honestly. And I bow my head in shame because that's really bad. So other things that I've kind of put in that place, other than working out to kind of help with my mental health, is I am intentional about getting up and taking a break, right? Whether that's okay, let me just take a breather, let me make sure I eat lunch, because one day I didn't eat until like 4:30 in the afternoon. So I'm like, okay, I got to do better. So get up, maybe if it's walk Parker outside and get some vitamin D, come upstairs and grab some lunch and just kind of step away from whatever it is that I'm doing for at least an hour and then kind of get back to it. Um, Another thing I've been trying to work on is like time blocking. I'm in this entrepreneurship program now, and they're really big on time blocking, and being intentional about that. So you got 24 hours in a day. Are you going to work 8, and how does that work look? Am I going to do 4 hours HBCU pets, 2 hours on this this exhausting job search, and then I got some other contract work and I'm doing? Is that going to be another 2 hours? But like, what does that look like every day? And just trying to be intentional about sticking to it.
Yeah, I I like that you said sticking to it because I think both health and hustle are really about habits, right? And so, um, and I think you have to be mindful about your habits, good and bad. And so, when you're thinking about, hey, my health, I think a lot of times what happens is people don't prioritize it, right? So they haven't, scheduled doctor's appointments, dental appointments. They're not doing anything on the daily in terms of their own, maintenance of themselves via exercise. And many times they are not, exercising healthy dietary um, activities. And so now you have like the perfect storm that you're creating for yourself with your habits. And so for me, what I try to do is make sure I cultivate good habits, both in terms of hustle as well as health. And that's why time blocking is important. And you know, when I'm doing things at their most efficient, is usually when I'm busiest and I'm forced then to make sure that I categorize my time and I hold to a schedule more appropriately. But I always working out in it. And so typically what happens is it ends up happening earlier in the day. But I try to remove as many excuses as I can so that what happens is the repetition of doing it over and over makes it so that you now have created a habit. And so for me, part of that was making sure I chose a workout regime that I could do anywhere if I was traveling. And so that's why I use so much of Sean T and Beachbody stuff because I can pretty much travel with it. And then at my own home, I have an improvised gym set up in my garage, right? So now I don't even have the excuse of having to leave the home in order to lift weights. And so I feel like I've made it so that I can comfortably pursue all the things that I need to pursue without making it difficult on myself to do it. And I think a lot of people, it's like, okay, I want to get healthy, then I have to go to the gym. And if I got to go to the gym, the closest one is 10 minutes. Go to the gym, it'll be 10 minutes to get there. 10 minutes back, that's 20 minutes plus an hour and a half for the workout. I don't have time for this. And they talk themselves out of the workout before they even, got started. When the truth is, you could do push ups, sit ups, and squats wherever you are
Yeah.
and whatever you're wearing, right? But we think about all of the things that we need to do a thing optimally, or the way that we envision ourselves doing it instead of just doing it. And so, and the just doing it is where the habit building. So,
Most deaf. And y'all both brought up good points, and one of them was in priority, making things a priority and being intentional. And at least you mentioned time blocking and how beneficial that is. And Doc, this is something that you point out in your book, Wealth on the Mat. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Get that on Amazon. Is the discipline aspect of it is because in order to be to stick to these routines or to even say, because like you mentioned, you got the gym in the house, so there is no excuse. But excuses can always be created. If
hmm
you on the other side of the mansion and the gym is on the other side, it's like, well, do I want to walk that far? It can be broken down to be as simple as that, like just simple excuses that really hold you back. Because the other flip side of this is, we touched a lot on the physical um, health aspect of it, but then the mental health aspect of it. And Alicia,
hmm
you mentioned like actually just getting up. You know what I'm saying? Like pausing in your work. And as somebody who gets kind of hyper focused on an activity, and then also getting distracted by other activities, where it's like I could be, you know, in the middle of doing a report, and then a message comes in where somebody needs something. I'm like, I know that something is going to take me, 2 minutes because it's a quick thing. So now I jump and do that quick task, and then I got to jump back into, you know, the main thing that I was doing, and then another distraction comes through, and I handle that distraction because I know that, and and being and bouncing around like that, and so then you kind of lock back in, and like you said, you'll get into this zone, and then you look up and it's like, oh, it's 4:30, and I haven't even eaten today, and nothing throughout the day really triggered it because the hustle like overcrowded the hunger at some point because you fight you kind of sit back so you be like, well, am I hungry? Because I just I pushed through the whole day and I didn't eat. Like I get hungry every day, but nothing in my body triggered it was hungry, or did I just keep ignoring it and pushing it off and procrastinating the hunger because I'm focused on the hustle? So I want to talk about that real mental discipline aspect of it. And Doc, I want to start with you because
yeah,
definitely in the book you point that out, especially with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. The discipline aspect of it is because a lot of people get overtaken and I'm talking in a little bit of jujitsu that I know is, you get over to a lot of people start getting overtaken because they're so focused on the brute strength and that aspect of it. When the
Mhm.
discipline kicks in, let you know, oh no, use your leverage, use the force against it, that kind of thing. But talk about that a little bit, like the mental aspect of it and being disciplined.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge part of it, right? I think that when you go through repeated difficulty, what happens is you start to get conditioned, right? And that conditioning helps you respond when you are in heightened situations. And that could be heightened situations in spending, heightened situations in work, heightened situations in relationships. But it's all really about being able to respond to a stimulus in a constructive way, right? And so, whether it's those little things that take our focus away, while we're trying to focus on a larger project, it's discipline that makes it so that you can switch from that thing back and focus intently on the major project at hand, or discipline that puts you in a place where you say, "What I'm going to do is block out all distractions for this period of time, so I can do a deep dive and focus wholly on this and only this for this period of time, and then I will deal with these other issues as they come around." Right, and that's why you need forethought in terms of understanding what it is that you're trying to come out of, whatever it is that you're doing with your day, right? You have certain things that have to be accomplished, right? You have that checklist, but then you need to have a checklist for yourself in terms of what it is that you want and how you envision yourself physically and your own mental well being. And so that can have a whole lot of different activities and habits that you're going to have to build and cultivate in order to make those things work. So on the work side, in terms of being steady there, that's an important thing. On the physical side, and just building up a routine where you're doing a physical thing for an adequate period of time throughout the day and prioritizing yourself that way. And then on the mental side, um, things like reading self-help books can be great, having outlets with friends, but also therapy. There are a lot of people who are going through things, have had traumatic experiences happen to them, and they bury themselves in their work or other activities instead of addressing these things. These things eat away at them. They eat away at them in ways that it's difficult to just act your way out of or fix without addressing that underlying root issue. And that's what therapy is there for. And that's what it's helpful for, right? And so you have to be willing to address and acknowledge all of the different elements of the person that you are and all of the different types of health that you possess and how you're going to continue and cultivate those things and be a good steward of what it is that you have. I think so few of us have done inventory on what it is that we have and what it is that we want, and we end up stumbling through life in ways that make us uncomfortable the whole time and also make the people around us uncomfortable the whole time. And so having the discipline of knowing where you're going not only gives you a level of comfort, right? Not only does it increase the chances of that you're going to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. But then it also signals to other people that they can count on you because you're steady in certain ways, right? And so they see that you work out, they see that you handle your business on time, right? They see that you're a person who's willing to step out and try to improve yourself in ways that other people might not, through therapy, meditation, reading about different ways to think better, move better, operate better, all of these things, right? And so you end up in a different place in terms of how you see yourself and how other people see you. But I think that how you see yourself and how you actually are a part of it is the real special thing that comes with discipline, with routine, with sort of forcing yourself to do the thing that other people might not do. Naturally, certainly, nobody would do. But when you're willing to do that, then you start to build muscles that other folks don't have. And it's just like anything else. When you see an athlete that's a pure athlete that's been working on all of these elements of their physicality, then you just look at this person. It's like, gee, this person just looks different than the average human being.
They're
And the reason they
extraordinary.
look different than the average human being is not all genetics. It's also what it is that they've done to cultivate all of the strength, speed, and power that goes along with having a look like that, right? And so, looks like everything. They say don't judge a book by its cover, and I think all of that is true. But when you have been steeped in a type of discipline for a while, typically people can start to see it even on the outside, even if it's an internal discipline. You hear about people talking about this person has a glow about them, just sort of an aura, and it might not be anything physically that they've done, but they've studied things. They've got this glow because of the light that's inside them, and sometimes it's so powerful that people can see it from the outside.
Yeah, and all of that sounds great because when you look at people that's extraordinary, but it's like when you are in it, when you in it, what gets you out of it? Like that's I think that's what I'm trying to get
Mm-hmm.
figured out for somebody is when you're in it, what gets you out of it?
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, you're in it in a depth where you're able to be pulled out because sometimes you're just in it and it's it takes some extreme measures to pull yourself out of that place and it takes time and stuff like that. But when you in it deep, deep enough where you can kind of get snapped out of it, um, like what how does that happen, Alicia? How does that how can you make that happen if you don't have the outside influences because obviously we always talk about power circles and strategic partnerships and if you're part of a certain certain types of gyms like your trainer is going to call you and say get your ass up, what I'm saying, to pull you out of it and snap you out of it and you're paying for it, so the financial aspect comes along with that.
Right.
Or if you're part of like Doc with the with the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you got a community of people that you constantly in contact with, where they pull you out at times like, hey Doc, you ain't been to the dojo in a minute. Get your ass up, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have that. But how do you get yourself out when none of that exists or none of that is available to you,
Yeah.
Mm,
Alicia?
that's a good question. Um, I mean, my circle's strong, so I can't I can't really speak to not having somebody to like call and like talk to about it, right? Because I'm a talker, so I'm gonna want to talk about it. Maybe not at first, just depending on the level of stress or trauma or whatever. But eventually, I got to get that all up off of me and out of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it be friends, family, somebody, the dog, somebody about to hear about it. Because we might be down, but I can't stay down long, because
Life be
stuff,
life.
life be lifing. Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
I
Yeah. Well,
need that. I
that's
think I think like that pushes further to the point where we always really stress strategic partnerships and power circles, where it's like, dang, I don't even know, you know,
yeah.
of a time or a place where it's like I don't know that nobody's gonna check because there's people that check, and it's a
right.
blessing. It's obviously a blessing. Doc, well, go ahead,
Yeah.
Doc.
No, I was gonna say like you have to leave yourself open to being able to lift yourself up
Hmm.
even when nobody else is there to lift you up,
You bring
right?
up a good
We
point,
all
Doc.
we grown and people are more important than things,
There
and
we
you
go.
are a
That.
person and you are important. In your situation, well, that's a thing, right? The issues that
Yes.
are around you, whatever it is that your present physical condition is, that's a thing. That's a thing that you have to deal with. But that innermost you, that you that makes you tick, that special thing that makes it so that you can be friends with the person, right? That is worth something. And it is unique, and there will never be another you. Even if you got a twin, there'll never be another you. So you
Amen.
owe it to yourself to get what it is that you are purposed for in terms of life up out of you. And and so sometimes that comes to, hey, you under the sound of our voice and listening to brethren, you know we want the best for you and are trying to push you towards what your destiny is and what you want to accomplish. Maybe you need to listen to some David Goggins or some of these other motivational speakers on some YouTube channels and just recognize that the challenges that are ahead of you are what's going to shape you and make you unique and make you special. And they don't have to beat you down. It's about the way you react to these pressures that's going to determine what it is that you become based on them. Right? They say pressure makes diamonds.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Move in that diamond direction. Right?
Also
You
worst
have all
nightmares.
of the right? You've got all of the elements there to do so, then make sure you're pushing in that direction. And if you and yeah, motivation is one of those things that's gonna wax and wane. And that's the nice thing about us having content all over the place that you can listen to. Shoot. Sometimes you need to listen to some Eye of the Tiger, from Rocky movies, whatever it is, right? But something to hype yourself up, to pick yourself up when you're down. You can't always depend on other people to do that for you. And the other thing that you can't depend on is motivation itself and that feeling itself. Like so much of what's going to make you better is just doing these small things on a day to day basis. And people will look at you over time and say, oh my goodness, how did you get like that? And they say it physically. They say it in terms of people who have read and expanded what they know mentally. They say it in terms of what it is that people have grown in terms of fortunes financially over time. Like, how is it from just being in a regular place, you were able to accomplish these things. And it's about the discipline that makes it so that you can do these things even when you're not motivated to do so. And that is what habits are about, you know, good or bad. If you got a drinking habit, you're gonna drink no matter what. Now that don't mean that you're gonna drink at any freaking time, but when your available drinking time is there, you probably gonna be drinking, right? If you're a person who is a martial artist, you're gonna do that when you have the time to, right? And you have to and you get to decide who you are and what you are, and then move accordingly, you know.
I bring all this up. Go ahead, Alicia.
I was gonna also say, like, I'm not sure if y'all familiar with Insecure, but Issa Rae would often talk to herself in the mirror, right? And hype
Yeah,
herself up, motivate herself. So
yeah.
great point as far as motivating yourself. I do that a lot as well. Like, girl, you got this. Let's go. Because sometimes, hell, you just got to be your biggest cheerleader. And
Yeah,
I know everybody's not spiritual, whatever, but I do pray a lot. I feel like my faith has been tested in this season of unemployment, Lord. So I do pray a lot. So that a lot
mhm.
of times, most times, really, let's be honest, is what has carried me through and got me out of that funk or kept me going. Yeah, for sure.
No doubt. And they all, people always say people make time for what's important to them, but sometimes people ain't even got the time to make time because they stuck, kind of stuck in that moment. Doc, you said pressure makes diamonds. So for the people that's in the space of pressure burst pipes, just insert that, pressure also makes diamonds. You can be a pipe or you can be a diamond. And you also reminded me that 3 6 Mafia said, "Don't save her; she don't want to be saved." So some are in that mindset of, "Oh, woe is me." I always tell people, "Misery love company, but you ain't got to join them." But
Right.
so some people is they want to be in that funk, and we kind of got to recognize that. But if we talk about self right now, where it's if you feel like you don't want to be pulled out of it, then you got something else to work with. Where it's like, don't pull me out of this right now. I just want to be in the funk, and it's like, oh, that's not the good funk either. I'm not talking about P funk. I'm talking about depressive funk, where it's like, okay, if you want to sit in that, then that's another thing. But we talking about just being able to pull yourself out of that those quick little spaces where you just kind of fall into it real quick. It's like people that go skiing, they call them a crevasse. I thought it was crevices, but it's a crevasse where it's like the snow fall in and you down in like a cave where it's like you just kind of got your head down, you in the focus on the hustle, and then you just kind of fall into a spot real quick, and it's like you either need somebody to come by and pull you out, or you gonna climb yourself out of there yourself. But you got to be determined to kind of do that. Um, but that's really just what I wanted to talk with y'all about. I ain't want to make this a long drawn out episode like
Mhm.
usual, because we haven't given the people any content in a while, and it's different reasons. HBCU Pets is in homecoming season.
Mhm.
DJ couldn't be with us today. He's out. He's actually on a meeting right now. You know what I'm saying? He got transitional moves going on his side. Doc just released the book. Welcome to
Woo!
that. So y'all definitely go get that. So we've been working. We've been in the background working and pulling each other up and at them. But I just wanted to get y'all together and get some stuff on wax for the people to listen to and hold them over, because it's gonna be homecoming for us. Doc just got back from Spell House homecoming. We are deep embedded in season right now. So we finna be
Yeah.
we finna be MIA again. But I wanted to get some on wax. I'm trying to see how we gonna get Doc to pull up to Tuskegee next weekend, since all of us will be there.
All right.
If we
Ah,
can slide that in there real quick, Doc pull up, then we'll have all of us together and see what happens then.
uh,
Um,
that would be pretty. That would be
Hey,
pretty
listen. I
cool.
just, I look, I
We
just
can.
Yes.
wanted, I just wanted to throw it out there and put it, so we can have it electronically recorded,
Yeah.
So, I mean, we as people we be like, ain't nobody invite me, so I ain't gonna look. You can't say I didn't.
Hey, that's what I was saying too, man. I was like, ain't nobody said nothing to me about coming. So, I don't go
Look,
invite
man,
myself to
look,
nobody
look,
homecoming. That's
you look.
it got home in it. You don't go to folk home when
I was look,
when
I
they
was talking.
haven't asked you
I
in.
was talking with somebody the other day. I was like, look, if you went to an HBCU, you don't have to have an invitation to other homecomings. You just come. You know
No,
what
that
I'm saying?
is true. We had some Stillman folks and some other
Yeah,
folks, yeah,
yeah.
Langston folks.
Everybody
Yeah.
got to go. Look, hey,
Everybody comes. Yeah.
if your third cousin having his family reunion, you can pull up. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to really know
Yeah.
nobody. Like, who you? Hey,
Yeah, that's true. That
I'm
is
just look.
true.
I'm over here from the other family reunion. You know what I'm saying? I just came to see about y'all. Hey, it's all good. Long as we not playing each other, it's all love.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah,
That's
man,
true.
I appreciate y'all for hopping in with this. Balancing hustling and health. The hustle and the health is um we always really talk about the professional aspects of it. Maintaining relationships, building relationships, and all of that. And so I think we'll pivot a little bit and start really talking about the mentality of the mental. And we kind of hint at it every now and again, but we really always kind of focus on like building the foundation of this great corporate structure of within. And so now we definitely got to start at the top, which is the mental, and making sure that people got their minds right, and being able to know that resources and things are available to pull themselves out of those little funk. You know what I'm saying? Make sure your circle is strong. One of those people in your power circle needs to probably be a therapist. You know what I'm saying? I got my friends who are licensed therapists. Where I ain't gotta hit them with the session. But just a quick, they check in like, hey, you good? All right, yeah, and they put me on the resources and things of that nature. Um, but get those people together. Doc, you got any final words?
Yeah, no, I think that and I say this a lot, that people are more important than things. And I think your health is one of those things that you need to develop a hustle about, right? And develop some habits around, and whether it's mental, spiritual, physical, financial, all of those things, all of those elements of you as a person are special and they're worth it. And so they're worth your attention. And you'll see when you start to pay attention to those things, that people around you will likely be inspired to pay attention to those things about themselves. And you end up making your community a better place, and your environment and the people around you, as well as yourself, better. Right. So use those pressures, use those difficulties, use those things around you to help you shape yourself, and to even through the resistance that they offer, make you a better and not bitter person, so that
Mm-hmm.
at the end of things you're closer to where it is that you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Go ahead, Alicia.
Hmm?
It's on you. Go ahead.
Oh,
Final thoughts.
so you is kind, you is smart, you is important.
Yes, all those things.
Yes. And we love you. And you absolutely matter. Mental health is very important. And it's really key to everything else. The physical, the spiritual, all of that starts with mental. So always remember you are the MVP, the most valuable player. So be sure to pour into and take care of you.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Ain't no need of being buff and depressed, because that ain't healthy in all
Mm-mm.
senses
Mhm.
of the word. So you know what I'm saying. It definitely has to start at the top of the pyramid that is you. You know, your body is a temple. The top of that temple is your mind. You got to keep that thing strong. So sometimes you're going to have to pull yourself out, and understanding that is knowing sometimes you need to pull yourself out. Sometimes you're not going to be able to wait on somebody to check in with you. As strong as your power circle may be, Alicia talked about it. Where you got to hype yourself up sometimes. And if you hyping yourself up and everybody in your power circle hyping you up, and then you got God on your side, it's a lot of powerful things can happen. So just make sure that you um, always check in with yourself and know that even when you in the hustle and you know what I'm saying, be intentional about kind of tapping yourself on the shoulder sometimes, or listening and heeding those little nudges from outside influences where people like, hey, you need to take a break. You like, yeah, I'll take a break, da, 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 and you get back into it. But then another friend tap in with you like, hey, you need to take a break. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to listen to that, because it's only
Mhm.
so many times the opportunity is gonna knock, and opportunity don't leave the package at the door like Amazon. It's just gonna return the sender. And so
Right.
sometimes you got to know, like, hey, let me take a break and let me answer this door, because
Mhm.
it's an opportunity, to keep my mental health in check and to keep myself in check so that I can continue to do the hustle. Because if you hustling and depressed, it's it's a no win situation ultimately. So keep that in mind. We love you. Make sure you hit up Amazon and get that Wealth on the Mat book by Dr. Ajamu Love and PhD CFP. Make sure you hit up hbcupets.com. Get you some. It's homecoming season still, because it is not over until the best do it, and the best is yet to come. Um, uh,
Eh,
but make sure you're following us on all our social media at Brethren Pod. That's spelled bread, BREADREN, because we always talking about bread and we always getting bread. And while we getting bread, we're being smart about our mental. We're pulling each other and ourselves up out of them little crevasses. Look that up.
yes.
But we love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Peace.